actually went on, we were on a dating site
Mm,
and I had the free version of it because I was not about to pay.
yes.
Let me try this out. And girl, it was like a full-time job. The
Yes.
amount of people that was in the inbox, and you have to spend time just deciphering, and you go on coffee dates, and you go on this, and all of them just want either a hookup or the same game that I left when I was in my is the same
Hmm.
game I saw when I was in my 50s, and it was a little bit disheartening.
I'm super excited about today's conversation because we hear so many stereotypes and misjudgments that come along with aging, finding the love of your life, and still being motivated to continue on the dating journey. So I am excited to have this conversation today. I have an amazing guest. I actually knew her from her fitness and wellness platform. However, I also was able to watch and witness her beautiful wedding to her amazing husband, and she's going to talk more about this today. But let me introduce you today to my guest. Her name is Elaine Allen Landy. She is a dynamic entrepreneur. She also is a health and wellness coach and the former Miss Universe Jamaica contestant. And it's been amazing to watch her own journey as she is inspiring other people along their lives to still be active and still be fit over the age of 40 and even 50 and beyond. So I just want to say thank you so very much, Elaine, for being a yes to being my guest today.
Oh, it is a pleasure. Thank you. I am so honored.
No, and honestly, when I first came up with this concept, there were several people that immediately was like, hey, I know that this person is amazing at what they do. I'm about to YOLO it. And I'm like, the worst that they can say is no. And you are one of those people because I'm like, I love what she's doing. And I know that what she's doing is making a huge difference because I'm inspired by watching your journey, to be very transparent. So I know that others are. So I am just grateful for you saying yes and being willing to be a part of this.
Well, this is exciting for me because I love to share my story. I love to talk.
I think we all do a little bit. So one of the things originally I wanted to speak to you about was about your fitness journey. However, I was super inspired to know that you had been sharing your journey about your marriage, and I will dig into that. But finding love over 50, and based off of someone's your interaction, you end up deciding to come up with an awesome book, which I love the title, and it's called Who's Marrying a 57-Year-Old Woman? And I was like, jaw drop. How do we use someone's negativity to open up a new chapter? Like, that's the goal is like, oh, you think I can't do this? You think you have something negative to say? I have something to show you. And so, share a little bit about your journey on love and then how did we get to now being married at 57?
My divorce, I was kind of bummed out, and I knew that something better was out there for me. I knew that deep in my heart. And I realized, okay, Lynn, you have to work on yourself first before you can attract what you want. So yes, for months I sat in front of my therapist and I did the work. One day, actually, I was sitting on the couch and God said to me, go look in the mirror. Because I asked him, like, what can I do to attract what I want? And he said, go look in the mirror. I'm like, I'm looking in the mirror for what? I put on my makeup, I do everything. I'm like, I'm not going. But it just kept pressing on me. Go look in the mirror, go look in the mirror. I
Yes.
went and looked in the mirror and I stood there for, I'd say about 5 minutes. Like, okay, what am I looking at? And then it was like the scales just started coming off my eyes and I started
Mm,
seeing all those idiosyncrasies
yeah.
about myself that the other person is seeing that I'm not seeing. And I'm like, is that me? I'm
Mm,
like, oh my God. I started getting mad at myself. Like, this is what you were to those people.
yeah.
And I said, wow, okay, I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Because how many of us actually look at ourselves and look at our faults? Because we think that we're God's gift to who, I mean, we are God's gift,
Yeah.
yes. but we have developed so many bad habits over the course of the years based on disappointments, based on hurts, based on so many different things,
Yeah.
trauma, and it just stays with us. And that's what I had to do. I had to work on myself.
And I'm glad that you even said trauma, because that's the part that a lot of times we're not, when we don't take the time to look at ourselves, but most importantly, we don't take the time to see how our traumas are impacting us today. Like, there are things that happen to us when we're younger, there are things that happen to us as we're aging. And the thing is that we never take the moment to sit back and say, like, okay, and it's almost in a way taking ownership. Like, I think that that's something that's important. And sometimes people just don't want to take ownership. And the thing is that you can take ownership without beating yourself up, but having this eye opening experience, like you're sharing, to be in a place of like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. These are some of the things I experienced, but this is what I am. This is what I really truly desire. And I applaud you for taking that first step, because honestly, some people don't ever take that first step to, one, seeing a therapist, and two, really being honest. And like, you getting to the point of wanting to even see a therapist after divorce, what made you even want to take that decision and that step?
Because I thought I was the issue. I thought
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was the problem in the marriage, and I said that I had to figure it out. And then when I sat with her, and I think it was like the sixth session in, she said, "Elaine, you're not the problem." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said that he just did not know how to handle what was in front of him. He wasn't ready. And then when we started unpacking the different things, my trauma, the traumas that I went through, he didn't have what it took to help me.
Yeah.
So it was two broken people that got together that didn't know how to help each other.
Fair.
And we were broken in the same type of way. So
Yeah.
how could we help each other in that sense? So all we did was hurt each other even more,
Mm.
till we just had to separate,
Yeah.
get away from each other. And that's what, because I mean, I had sexual abuse from when I was a child,
Mm.
and then rape when I was in college. And I mean, all those things just compounded.
Yeah.
And then the different types of abuses in different relationships and
Yeah.
disappointments. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it takes a strong person.
Yeah. It takes someone that, it takes a strong person, but it also, in my opinion, it takes someone that's empathetic and that can also nurture that kind of person. Because and I think too, in cultures, strength, I often find like that word strength doesn't even relay what is needed. Like, strength, some people can be like, oh, I just act like nothing existed, but that's not, like Brene Brown has this book, oh my gosh, Daring Greatly. And that book
Uh-huh.
opened my eyes to the fact of knowing, like, being vulnerable is probably one of the biggest strengths that it takes. Because to even tell a partner, I've had these afflictions or had these challenges and traumas, and it doesn't have to necessarily even be your traumas or challenges, because everyone has them in different variations and different extremes and things like that. But if people think that strength is only by saying that things don't happen, you need someone that's compassionate to even hold space for you to even work through those things as well. So I'm glad that you were able to acknowledge those things. And I'm sorry that you even had those experiences, but you took the time to even figure out how are those things impacting or did impact your relationship and whom you are today.
Yeah. I remember during one of our counseling session when we were going through our difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
and the counselor said, he looked at my ex-husband, he said, she needs someone to love her so much that she forgets where she came from. And I think it hit him that that wasn't him, you
Wow.
know? Yeah.
That is that. I mean, you talk about self awareness. Like, I have to provide that level of security and to someone to say, "Wow, this is," and at the core of it is creating a space that's safe.
See, that's the word right there. Both individuals have to be safe with each other.
Yes.
That is so true. Yes. 100% agree.
And so since you got divorced and you were working on yourself, and it looks like the beginning was not even at the divorce. It was something that was towards the end and like the process. So now you're divorced and you stayed single for however that was. What
Five
really
years.
5 years? Okay, awesome. Okay, 5 years. And then I'm sure you've probably had some people on, the devil advocates are like, well, you don't need, maybe I'm assuming, but I do feel as if sometimes culturally, the trauma response, once we get to a certain age, is, oh, I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. Like there's this like I've given up kind of thing. And sometimes our friends and circles will push that on us. Was that your experience in that 5 year season? Or were people still saying, girl, you got to get out there and date? Like, what was that response during that season?
During that season, yeah, people were pushing me to
Mm.
go out there and date, especially my cousin in Germany. She just kept pushing me. She's like, Elaine, you're just too pretty and you have such a nice shape. It's like, you're just wasting it.
If you're not
So
watching this video, go and click on her page. Yes, Elaine has a very nice shape. Elaine is goals. Okay.
one day it was Valentine's, and I said, you know what? I am not spending another Valentine's Day on this couch by myself. So I
Mhm.
called up my girlfriend. I said, listen, hey, I have a great idea. She's like, what? She was very cautious because I have some crazy, crazy thoughts sometimes.
Yeah.
She said, girl, I said, let's dress up and let's take a faceless picture and let's go to a restaurant. She's like, sure. Girl, Valentine's Day came. I'm all ready. I'm like, you ready? She's like, I thought you were joking. I said, no, I'm serious. She's like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm not doing that. I said,
Mhm.
okay. I had already made reservations to a five-star restaurant. And girl, I got dressed, makeup on, had my 8 by 10 picture with a faceless picture of a man. And I went there. The hostess says, oh, is your other party here? I said, yes. I took out my picture. She was so shocked. She looked, I mean, she was visibly shocked.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, let me fix you. And I sat and I put the picture right in front of me. And the waiter came, and I was the only person of color in the restaurant.
Mm.
And everybody was just looking, some with pity on their face. I'm assuming that they were thinking, oh, that's probably her dead husband or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But then this one couple sitting next to me, the guy, he was Chinese. He said, what's up with the picture? And I said, oh, that's my future husband. And he busted out laughing.
He's like,
And
what's
somebody,
going on?
but I had in the back of the picture, I wrote down everything that I want my husband, I want of my husband.
Mhm.
And guess what? A year later, my husband was manifested.
But the thing is that they always say in order to get like extraordinary goals and results, you have to do things outside of your comfort zone. You have to do,
Hello.
and it's like, if it's common, I find that people don't, like if you want extraordinary, you have to do extraordinary things. And like, like
I
it's one of
believe
those
that.
things.
I believe that.
Like people are like, oh girl, that doesn't make sense. Like, no, it does. You just don't
That
know.
right there, not many people would do.
Because it's too comfortable. It's like, I mean, because the thing is too is like when it comes to dating over certain age brackets, like I have a good amount of single cousins that are in my age. Well, I'm usually like on the younger end of a lot of my cousins, and they've been single. Maybe they were married and divorced, whatever. But there's so much taboo about getting on dating sites and putting themselves out there because again it's like that fear, like I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to someone to make me look stupid, or like again it's all that negative connotation. But it's like if you really say you want love and you really desire this partnership and you really have a standard of what you're looking for, like what are you going to do to get a different result? And you did it. So I don't congratulations.
Thank you. All I know is that everybody laughed at me. I even posted it. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah,
I
I saw
posted
it
it
when you did it.
online,
Yeah.
and the comments were crazy.
But the thing is like, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, okay. I mean, because the thing is, I saw people on TikTok eating on New Year's Eve, eating grapes underneath tables. So I don't know the whole thing about that, but they like, you find if you
Okay.
eat grapes underneath your table on New Year's Eve and you're single, that in a year you find the love of your life. I don't know where that comes from.
Wow.
However, people are recording themselves doing this. Always, I start seeing it in December ish, definitely in
Wow.
January. And then people do a fast forward the next year, and now they're like, found the love of my life,
Wow.
and I'm sure, I don't know. It's hard to say if it was connected. However, like, I'm sure you getting underneath the table either by yourself or with a friend eating grapes. I mean, I sit at the table and I eat grapes, so I can't imagine doing that. But the thing is I think it's not even necessarily the action, it's the belief.
The heart, yes. Yes, truly, truly. Because first of all, what you speak is what you manifest. And if you believe in your heart, yes, if I eat this grape or this apple or whatever it is under a table, on top of a table, yeah, your words is attracted to you. So yeah, you're gonna manifest it. I totally believe that.
Yeah, you're positioning, planting that seed to say, I believe that this can happen, and
Hmm.
standing into that. So how did y'all two meet then? So a year later, we found our boo. And y'all been married, what, 2 years now? Two,
Yeah.
3? Yeah, 2, 3 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah. I actually went on, we were on a dating site.
Mm.
And I had the free version of it because I was not about to pay.
Yes.
Let me try this out. And girl, it was like a full-time job. The
Yes.
amount of people that was in the inbox,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to spend time just deciphering, and you go on coffee dates and you go on this, and all of them just want either a hookup or the same game that I left when I was in my is the same
Mm-hmm.
game I saw when I was in my 50s, and it was a little bit disheartening.
Yeah.
And just as I was about to get off, I said, let me try one more time. Let me just log in one more time.
Yeah.
And something in his message just caught my eye, and I'm like, okay, he's not my type,
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay, let me just respond. And we did the back and forth via text within the app, and then
Yeah.
we exchanged phone numbers, and then we spoke, and then his voice, it
You're
was
like,
it was it
what?
was yeah, the voice just roped to me in
Mm-hmm.
immediately. I was like, okay, all right. Ah, okay. It was a
Yes.
deep, sultry voice. I'm like, all right. And he's like, okay, we've gone this far. Why don't we meet for dinner this Friday? And I'm like, oh man, I was on my way to Jamaica. I said, listen, I will call you when I come back. He thought it was a blow off. But I
Mm.
called him when I got back and he was so shocked. And girl, it was on and popping after that. After that first date, he took me to Nobu. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, first of all, on a first date, who takes them to Nobu? Okay. But it wasn't love at first sight, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Because if I had judged the book by the cover, we would not be married. Because he
Mm.
came in sneakers, cargo shorts, and t-shirt. I was like, who go on a date to Noble, the first date to Noble, with short sneakers and a t-shirt? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, all right. But then I forgot about how he looked, and the
Yeah.
conversation was so good. It was engaging, it was funny, intellectual.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he hit number one right there, which is the intellectual part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was on after that. Mm.
But like, I've learned with dating sites, and specifically men over, I would say 35, 40 on dating sites. Typically, their photos are going to be horrible. Like, they're at these weird angles, and you're like, you didn't let nobody see this photo before you posted it. This is supposed to be the love of your life, and you're giving me these weird angles, and this is a dating site, and these are
You're not
first
right.
impressions. Like, we might want to have someone review these images. However, they don't. So no tea, no shade. And I've learned that on dating sites, if they do have it like these great photos, there might be a reason why. So To me, that's a red flag. I'd rather the one that has the quirky photo that has something to say than the one that has the
Uh,
stylized shoot. Typically, that's their MO. They just run through people. It's the dad photo, the weird angle photos. I find that those tend to be like more normal people. But you did mention too the importance of knowing that it does take intention. Like often when like anyone I know, actually I would say most of my friends in the last 5 years, all that have ended up married, they all got married because they met someone online.
wow. Okay.
Majority, because like a lot of people are working, and
Yeah.
so and two, like we're not in the streets. So
True.
I
Very
mean,
true.
so like even for myself, like most places I'm at, like right now I'm at my co-work space, majority of the people here are either way younger than me, or they're married. So
Okay.
once you're over a certain age bracket, a lot of the times you're going to be in places where they're just not going to be available guys. So I feel that a lot more people are leaning more into social, like not social, but into online dating. But they have to really. That's one of the tips one of my friends recommended. She's about to be engaged as well, and she was saying like. I was like, kind of, I felt the same way you felt several months ago. And I was just like, man, like I really want to try to give someone an opportunity on social media, not social media, but I did meet someone on
And then
social media, so I keep slipping up on saying that. But on online dating was the fact that like you cannot be casual with that, because the reality is that there are a lot of people, and there are a lot of people looking for people, and some people just don't have good intentions. But that's no different than you meeting someone on the street. I think that's sometimes the biggest miss understanding about online dating is people like, oh, they're going to be fraudulent. I don't know if you met people on the street, like they can just be as fraudulent. So the biggest thing about online dating is that it does take intentionality. It does feel, and I think that that's why sometimes people don't give it an honest try, is because of you having to be open to go on dates, openness to get to know someone repeatedly over and over again, and not finding yourself discouraged. And so now we're in this place that we got married and you've been dating. And what came about with the comment that prompted the book? Was this on your wedding? Because I can imagine people are pretty savage. Like you're posting your wedding photos and someone says, why would they? Where did that comment come from?
was doing the thing with the wedding dresses. I was trying to figure out what dress to wear. And I was doing different posts with different dresses. And yes, in one of that post, I forgot which one it was, which dress it was. But yes, this guy came under there and said, who would marry a 57-year-old woman? And
Mm,
at first, I was like, wow, how do I respond to this? And I mulled it over for a while and I said, Elaine, don't even bother. So
mhm.
I just, what I did, I made another video and put that question on top. And it was me and my fiance then. And I gave him a kiss and I pointed to him like, yeah, this is who's married a 57-year-old woman. But it
Yeah.
still bothered me, you know? And
Mhm.
then I was like, Elaine, write a book,
Yeah.
and I had so many things going on, but I wrote it in my to do, write a book.
Yeah.
Who married a 57-year-old woman? And 2 years later, after I kind of settled down, I was like, Elaine, it's time to write the book. And I sat down one day,
Yeah.
boom, 1 week. It took me 1 week to write that book.
Wow.
One, because I had everything already in my head, what I wanted to put in the book. And then I
uh,
had a friend of mine read the first draft, and she's like, Lane, you're missing a lot. Include this and include that and include that. I was like, okay. And I went back to the drawing board and I just did the whole thing over, and that was it.
So for you then, like what was like if someone wanted to read this book, what would be their hopes of getting the knowledge? Is it going to be for maybe the single woman that is around the age bracket that's like, I still want to find love? Is this a book that's great for them? Or is this something for people to just kind of use as inspiration? What's the intention?
Number one, for my single people, both men and women, I shared the struggles that I went through dating. I shared a couple of stories some funny stories
Yeah.
that I could not leave out of the book because it was just too funny. You got to read it to see it because I'm not going to tell you.
Anyone that's been single and in these dating streets, we probably know, and not your specific story, but we understand the streets are the streets.
Yeah, that's gonna be another book that I write. I want to get the stories of different women, probably about 100 women,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to give me their stories so I can put it in a book. Because
Mm-hmm.
woman, like a girlfriend of mine, she said she went. This guy told her to pick the restaurant. She picked the restaurant, and it was an Italian restaurant. They got to the restaurant, the guy and nice upscale restaurant,
Uh-huh.
and got the menu, and the guy looked at it and he looked at the waiter and he's like, how come you guys don't have fried rice?
No, Jesse is a snob. When I go to eat with people, I request that no one comes to eat with me if you eat like a toddler. Like I can't. If we're going to international restaurants, what we are not about to do is get chicken tenders. What we're not going to do with me.
Oh my goodness.
Fried rice at the Italian restaurant.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this I'm sharing my stories plus my inner
Mm,
turmoil in dating after 50, the insecurities I had, the mental fortitude I had to have, and how I went through the healing process, how I prepared myself for my husband, what I had to do, and then I grew from that. And also for people, yes, who are married, to see what, as inspiration, yes, because a friend of mine, I was so happy when he told me he read it. He said, Elaine, I read it, and I read it in one day. I didn't even put it down. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, it was really good. And this is a guy, and he's
yeah,
married.
yeah,
And so I was encouraged by that. And he's like, yeah, I see what you guys go through.
yeah,
He's been married now for years, but he's
yeah,
like, wow. He's like, the streets haven't changed. I said, nah, just the people.
yeah. Just the year. Just the year.
Exactly. So yeah, it's an encouragement for women and men that listen, don't listen to the naysayers, because there are people online that are saying that after 40 you should take a back seat now,
Mm,
and over 50, okay, leave it for the young people. 60, go play with your grandkids and some nonsense. But
mm,
I'm trying to change the narrative
yeah,
of those words and try to encourage people that are buying into that. No, get out there. It starts with your inner health,
yeah,
your mental health, and then once those two come in line with each other, then your outer health.
yeah,
Because if your mental health is not changed, your outer shell is not going to change.
yeah.
People think, oh, it starts from the outside in. No, it starts from the inside
Inside out.
out. And once you start working on that, exercising the mind. Oh my God, no, nobody can stop you.
Well, the thing is that's so amazing about your book and you sharing is that I feel like sometimes the first step for some people in healing is to understand that there's someone else that may have gone through their same
Oh
journey.
yeah,
Because I feel
yes.
that there's so many individuals that are they feel shame or they feel as if something is wrong, but then they don't know that like there's anything confirming that there's something wrong. Like that's what gets in the way of people even really searching for help because they just feel like, oh, this is normal, and not realizing, no, this is not normal. And the thing is that you also deserve the love that you deserve, and it takes working on ourselves. But because we're not talking about it, and we're allowing ourselves to either trauma bond with other individuals instead of individuals that are looking to be healed and have been doing the work to heal themselves. Like this is where your book and people hearing your story is like that initial kindling for some individuals to really get the healing or to even seek the support that they need to be able to take the next steps in their life when it comes to relationships and dating. So, with you doing your own healing journey, did you decide on different Well, what was some of the things that you thought to yourself, okay, I don't want to bring this into my new marriage, or when I find my future husband, or when my future husband finds me, I want to make sure that I show up this way. How did that look for you in this new relationship?
I did not, for example, with the different traumas from different relationships, I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had to heal from that because when we inadvertently just bring those things in. Well, I don't want a man who's going to treat me this way. I don't want a man who's this. I don't want a man. That's trauma speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of speaking what you don't want, instead of speaking what I didn't want, I
Mm-hmm.
started speaking what I wanted. I want a husband who's going to love me the way I deserve to be loved. Elaine, how do you perceive love? What is love to you?
Yeah.
Once you define what love is to you, that's what you're going to attract. So I had to know what I want.
Yeah.
Everybody have to know the type of love that they want because everybody's definition of love is so different. Some people's
Yes.
love is I want my husband to give me gifts. I want my husband to constantly give me words of affirmation. Those different love language. But for me, love wasn't just what I wanted, is what I want to give him. I
Mm,
knew that there was so much inside of me to give. Oh my God. There is so much inside of everybody, so much love, but because of what happened, it's kind of thumbed down
yeah.
and it's buried, but it's there. So once we tap into what we have to give, that is what we will receive back
Yeah.
when we meet that right person. Because the different types of love out there is, if you do this for me, I will do that for you. We don't want that type of love no matter what age you are. And there are different stages of mature love is what I
Yeah.
call it. So the type of love that I wanted, I had to work on myself in order to receive it. I don't know if
Mm.
that makes sense.
No, it makes plenty of sense because they say often what sometimes happens is that people are only looking at love from a selfish standpoint and not looking at it from a what do I truly bring into a relationship to add to someone else. Like it's always how does it, because you see this negative conversation on these unhealthy podcasts, these red pill podcasts, is always talking about themselves and not in the way of how they can add to someone else or like love someone else. It's always how can this person love me? And I think that it's important to know like, can I, even if I got this person that checks all these things on the list, but I'm still toxic and I can't be appreciative, you will lose that person if you aren't able to show that person love, if you don't have the capacity. Just like how you shared the story about your husband, your ex-husband per se, was like he realized like I can't create really a safe space for her. Are you going to be that person in your relationship? Are you going to be open? And I think, and you can share like how do you stay tuned into that, because I feel like sometimes when we say we want to be something in a relationship, regardless if it's a romantic relationship, a business relationship, or a work relationship, every day you kind of have to put that on again, because there may be moments, especially when we've had past traumas, that it's going to show up, like our behaviors, our safety mechanisms will still continue to show. So how do you keep yourself still like locked into these, this is who I say I wanted to be in a marriage before the partner came? How do you still keep yourself aligned with that?
The one thing that I'm glad that we do is that we keep God as the foundation of our marriage.
Mm,
And I always into self-improvement and I'm
okay.
always looking at myself, not in the sense that, oh, Lane, you're doing this or you're doing that. I want to know what can I do to make him see that I love him. So in doing that, I'm working on myself because
Mm,
now I'm not coming from a selfish place like, okay, he's not doing this for me, so I'm not doing that, or I don't feel like doing that. Being in this relationship, I can't be selfish. I can't
yeah,
just think of me. I have to die to myself
yeah,
and come alive for him. And it's reciprocated. That's how you know that you have the right partner,
yeah,
because I want to do more for him and he wants to do more for me. He will constantly ask me, babe, what can I do for you today to make
mm,
your day better? What can I do? And he's always thinking of things to make the relationship exciting. I'm always thinking of things to make our relationship better. And I'm always thinking of things to make his day better, or what can I do to help alleviate? Now, in his business, there's not much I can do.
yeah,
But as when he comes out of that office, or if I'm home, I'm always thinking about things to make his day go a little bit easier, or
mm,
things that will kind of put a smile on his face,
yeah,
whether it's a text or putting something on, or just making him lunch or giving him breakfast, or just the little things.
yeah,
So it's a matter of always thinking about him. And a lot of people don't really understand this concept of dying to yourself.
yeah. They don't. And I remember hearing this at a marriage counseling. I've heard this before. And the thing is I feel like some people might cringe at hearing that, but I think it's also because they haven't met the person that makes them that creates a space that makes that even something that they'd be willing to do. You wouldn't have been able to do that with your first husband.
Right, right.
Like that's and what happens is that because sometimes the person we partner with isn't aligned with what and who we want to show up as, how we are supposed to be in a relationship and how we were created to be in a relationship can't exist because it's like it wasn't intended. And I feel that that's where a lot of the negative connotation comes on about making like lunch or doing those things because only way you will feel resentful, we don't want to say it, is because of the person we chose.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's not that
yeah.
everything's always perfect, like because
No,
they're gonna be
definitely not.
like and
Definitely not.
I'm not oblivious to the fact that some days you just probably don't want to. But that is also part of dying to yourself.
See, it's those days when you don't want to do jack that you make up your mind and say, you know what? Let me just do this. And those are the days that you get greater return.
I love that.
Because yeah, the return on your investment, the ROI is much greater. Yes, yes.
But
So when we step out of, we have to be uncomfortable with being comfortable in our
mm,
marriage. Okay. So when you start seeing that you're getting comfortable, when I see I'm getting too comfortable, like, Elaine, okay, no, you can't get too comfortable doing this. Come on, get up, do something different. Because
yeah,
then it becomes so monotonous and mundane, and it becomes boring. And I hate being bored.
yeah, yeah,
And so, yeah, I like to do different things. I like to, just change the narrative a lot of times. And he's always making sure that things are exciting because he's excited.
I love that. So for people that want to actually get your book, where can they actually get it from?
Ooh, they can get it. Who's Marrying a 57-Year-Old Woman is available now on Amazon or BarnesandNobles.com.
Fantastic.
Or they could go to my Instagram, Blonde Locks.
Mm.
That's blonde without the E, locks without the K, and it's in my profile.
Fantastic.
Correct.
So I'll make sure to have it in the show notes so that you can check out both the book and also follow her so that she can stay up to date with a lot of the great things that she's doing. I will be having her come back to talk about fitness because I know that this is the thing. And Believe me, when you check out her Instagram and her platform, she gives some really great tips. So I am super appreciative. I was able to get some great information from this. However, the most important part is that I'm grateful for you to be able to share your journey and your story so that those that are listening are also able to be impacted as well.
And I so appreciate being here and you having me and you just staying in contact. I love it. And maybe I could literally show some moves the next time we could go do the podcast in my gym and I could show some stuff.
So that means y'all have to listen to the audio and also watch the video. I might like,
Oh, I forgot this is audio. Okay.
no, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So I will to make sure to follow up with you so we can get that on the books. So everyone, thank y'all again for tuning in to today's podcast.